Okay, so 7.6 is very similar to 7.5, but it's all money this time. Okay, so all the problems have to do with money. Typically, they have to do with cents, sometimes dollars. So really quickly, I just want to refresh. If I want us to be able to represent the money in decimals. So what is a penny worth? 0.01, right? And you don't have to put the 0 in front. Okay, what about a dime? Or no, nickel's next, right? Nickel is 0.05. That's the cost, or how much it's worth. Dime is 0.10, or just 0.1, right? And quarter, 0.25. Okay, now we are going to be using these, let me separate them. We are going to be using these for these types of problems, okay? Equals, because 0.10 is the same as 0.1, isn't it? We don't have to write the 0 at the end. Okay, so let's get started. I do have some steps for you just so that we can refer back. So step 1, the first thing, we're going to still write 2 equations, but what all of these problems are going to give us an amount, as in how much we have, and then kind of a worth, how much it's worth. So those are going to be our 2 equations. The first is going to be, write the first equation for the total number of coins. So that's going to be like 12 dimes and 3 quarters. Okay. Step 2, our second equation is going to be for the total cost of the coins. Let's use cost. So it's going to have to do with what each coin is worth. Okay? And then that's going to give us 2 equations. So we're going to solve using either elimination or substitution. Okay, so we can pick whichever one we want. Sometimes elimination will be easier, sometimes substitution will be easier. Okay, you must, on these problems, use systems of equations. You cannot use guess and check. Okay, so example number 1. Okay, example 1. Joe has 8 coins. All of them are nickels and dimes. The total value of the coins is 50 cents. How many of each does he have? How can we write 50 cents as a decimal? 0.50. Okay, so we're going to always be working with decimals here. Okay? Okay, so we have to write the first equation for the total number of coins. So what's that going to be? What variable do you want nickels to be, first of all? So n is going to be equal to the number of nickels. And it's really number this time. Because the last sentence says how many of each does he have. So we're looking at numbers. What about dimes? D. So D is going to be the number of dimes. Okay, so Joe has 8 coins, all nickels and dimes. So how can we write that? N plus D equals 8. So our first equation is just for the total number of coins. All my nickels plus all my dimes gives me 8 coins. Okay, second equation is going to be for the total cost of the coins. So that means, how do I find the cost of 1 dime? I multiply by what? 0.10. What if I had 2 dimes? That would be 0.10 times 2. What if I had 3 dimes? 0.10 times 3. Okay? I don't know how many dimes I have. So that's going to be, the total value is 50 cents. So what's the cost of value of a nickel? 0.05 N. The value of the nickel times how many nickels I have. Make sense? Okay, now going back to our example with dimes, I don't know how many dimes I have. So it's going to be 0.10 times D equals 0.50. Okay, so what I did here, I don't know how many nickels I have. But however many I have, if I multiply it by 0.05, that's going to give me how much they're all worth, right? So I add all of those, the costs together, and that's going to give me 0.50. Every coin problem is going to be like this. You're going to have one where you add up the amount and how many total they have, and one where you multiply by how much they're worth. Okay? I know it's different, especially because we're working with cents and not dollars. Okay, so what method do we want to use here? Well, I have N and D on the same side, and I have N and D on the same side, so elimination, but we have a whole bunch of decimals, right? Can we get rid of some of those decimals? Okay, let's look at it, guys. Everybody eyes up here. I'm going to show you a trick that I showed my Algebra 2 classes for these types of problems. They did this at the beginning of the year. Okay? I don't want decimals. I want whole numbers, right?
Yes.
How many spaces do I need to move these decimals to get whole numbers? 2. So what should I multiply by to move the decimal 2 spaces? No. You guys are thinking the opposite way.
This is confusing.
When I multiply both sides by 100, let's see what happens. Okay? Look at it. What is 0.05 times 100? 5 times 0 gives me 0. 5 times 0 gives me 0. 5 times 1 gives me 5. Okay, I skip a space, right? Everything else is 0. Add it all together, so that gives me 500. The decimal moves over 1, 2, 1, 2. Oh my gosh, it's a whole number, 5. Same thing is going to happen here. That decimal is going to move 2 spaces. Same thing here. That decimal is going to move 2 spaces. So what is my new equation? 5n plus 10d equals 50. So much nicer, right?
Yes.
And it's going to still give us the same answer no matter what. Okay? So,
Why don't we just start it off that way instead of going through all that?
Yeah.
so I have n plus d equals 8. 5n plus 10d equals 50. Do you guys want to use elimination or substitution?
No.
It doesn't matter. You can use either one. I typically use elimination because there's less steps and I'm more comfortable with it. You could use substitution because we could easily solve for n or d, right? So which one do you guys want to use? You still want to use elimination? Okay, so that means I have to multiply. What do I need to multiply by?
Figure 10.
Do we want to eliminate n's or d's? Doesn't matter. D's? Okay, so let's multiply by negative 10.
Is there one like this on the home?
Okay. Okay, so if I multiply by negative 10, that gives me negative 10n minus 10d equals negative 80. This looks like something we can do, right? Okay. What's negative 10n plus 5?
-5.
Negative 5n. Negative 10d plus 10d cancels. Equals negative 30. Divide both sides by negative 5. Thank goodness it's going to come out positive because it should. N equals positive 6. So I had 6 nickels. This is not cents. This is not amount. It's just 6 nickels.
Easy.
Okay? How do I solve for D?
Plug it in.
Plug it in. I suggest that we plug it into n plus d equals 8. Okay? So if I have, and I totally ran out of room. Okay, so that's going to be 6 plus d equals 8. Subtract 6 from both sides. So d equals 2. So I had 6 nickels,
And
2 dimes.
That was so easy after you got that.
Problem, example 2. Emily has 24 coins in her piggy bank.
Whoa, piggy.
The coins are all quarters and dimes. If the total value of the coins is $4.50, how many of each does she have? The first equation, okay guys, the way we set up these coin problems, the reason why I like them so much is because you're going to do the same thing every time. The only thing that changes is your numbers. Okay, so the first equation is the total number of coins we have. Quarters and dimes are, and there's 24 of them, so what's that going to be? D plus Q equals how many? 24. So D is dimes, Q is quarters. Okay, and we're looking at number of, okay? I just don't want to, I didn't give us very much space. Okay, so the first equation is always going to be quarters plus dimes equals 24, pennies plus nickels equals 12. Every one for these coin problems are going to be like that. The amount to first.
So we can just use elimination on all of them?
You can always use elimination here. Okay? The coins are all quarters and dimes. You got that? If the total value of the coins is $4.50, so how would I write that? What's the value of a dime? 0.10 D, right? So 0.10 always goes with D. 0.05 always goes with N. And what always goes with Q? 0.25 always goes with Q every time. Okay? So every time we have dimes, it's 0.10. Every time we have quarters, it's 0.25 Q. Always. But they are always going to equal something different. What does this one equal? 4.50. Okay, there's decimals in here. I don't like decimals. What can I do to get rid of them? Move it over 2 spaces, which means I'm multiplying by 100 every time. Okay, so that gives me 10D plus 25Q equals 450. You can do this every time. Do we want to try one using substitution method? Or go straight to elimination? Okay. So that means we need to multiply this top one by what? Negative. You want to eliminate quarters or dimes?
25, negative 25.
I think dimes might be easier.
Okay.
So let's do, only because it's easy to multiply 24 by 10, right? 24 and 25 is going to be gnarly. Okay? So negative 10D minus 10Q equals negative 240. And I apologize for having to write so small, guys. I really didn't think it was going to take that much space. Okay, elimination. Negative 10D plus 10D, what does that give me? 0. Negative 10Q plus 25. 15Q equals negative 240 plus 450. That's going to be positive 210.
You're wrong, Ellen.
Okay, find Q. I need to divide by 15. Okay, and I'm actually going to do that work off to the side. So 15 goes into 210. 15 goes into 21 once. So that gives me 60. And 15 goes into 64 times. Okay, so Q equals 14. So we have 14 quarters. Box that so you don't lose it.
So plug it into...
Okay, so plug it in. What's going to be the easiest place to plug it into? The first. So that's D plus 14 equals 24. Subtract 14 from both sides. So D equals 10. So we have 10 dimes, 14 quarters.
That equals 34. Oh, no, wait, no.
Rayburn sold 81 tickets to the orchestra concert. Adult tickets cost $7 each, and student tickets cost $5 each. How many of each ticket was sold if they made $507? Same idea as the coin problems, but no decimals. Okay, so we are looking for adult tickets, how many adult tickets, and how many student tickets. So what variable do you want to use for adults?
A.
About A. So A is going to equal number of adult tickets. I'm just going to write number of adult ticks. And S is going to equal number of student tickets. Okay? We always need to label what the variables are. Okay, so same steps. We first need to write an equation for the total number of tickets sold. So that's going to be A plus S, number of adult tickets plus the number of student tickets, and how many did they sell?
$507.
No, that's dollars. Total was 81, right?
$507.
Okay, that's going to be our second equation. Second equation, we're looking at the worth. How much is an adult ticket worth? 7A. Plus, how much is a student ticket?
5S.
5S. And how much did they make?
507.
507. 81. Okay. Now we don't have to multiply anything by 100, right? Because we already don't have decimals. Okay, so do you guys want to use elimination here?
Yes.
Okay, so are we going to eliminate A's or S's? How about S? So that means we multiply by -5. So that's going to give me, let me just write it over here, -5A minus 5S equals 81 times 5? Or -5, that's going to be -405, right? And then 7A plus 5S equals 507. Okay.
A equals 51.
-5A plus 7. 2A. -5S plus 5S cancels. -405 plus 507. 102.
I think I got it.
Divide both sides by 2. So A equals 2 goes into 10 5 times 51.
S equals.
So A equals 51 tickets sold for adults. How do I solve for S?
Plug it in.
Plug it in. So that is 51 plus S equals 81. Subtract 51.
S equals 20.
So S equals 30.
30. Oh my gosh.
So 51 adult tickets, 30 student tickets. Same idea, just no decimals for that one.